Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into this weather presentation for January 11th, 2020. As always, please don't forget to subscribe, as well as watching the whole video. Now, today, we'll be looking sort of like a long-range forecast, because I know you're in the East saying, what the heck is going on right now, because it's in the 60s. I know where I am, it's like going to be 66, 67 degrees today, and the same for tomorrow, much sunnier, so. Very warm pattern going on in the east. We got, cold patterns in North Plains in the west. So there could be a pattern change possibly, and I'm going to be addressing that today. So let's start here by looking at the CFS model. Okay, this is from time period of the 11th, so from now through the 18th. And you can see by almost like the jet stream kind of, but you can see this huge dark blues, this huge troughing, and this huge ridging that's going on. Okay, and that's why we had that huge quarter of severe weather that I did a video on yesterday that I really do suggest you go out and watch, because it was very significant line of storms that I do believe is still going on. Let me go to so here's the Mississippi radar site, and I just happened to land on a tornado warning right there for eastern Mississippi. So to watch further coverage, I suggest that after watching this, in my previous video I did them on severe weather. Very, very unique system, very dynamic. Now, as we have from the 18th to the 25th, okay, we see, the jet stream starts to flatten out a little bit, okay? We're still warm, okay, and especially in parts. Now, this isn't necessarily the temperature graph. Blue doesn't mean cold. It's just kind of like the troughing and the ridging. But we do start to see a little jet stream trying to, maybe some upper level lows that try to form up there in the north. But overall, we're still holding a grasp of the warmth. Now, 25th, I think it's will start around the 23rd, 24th. Through the 1st, look what starts to happen. Here's the east. Here you got trough. And let's pull up the temperature graph. The 25th to the 1st. And I think it matches up pretty well. Okay. So you go down through, the trough goes down through the Carolinas. So right about there. So, or that, now, you can see what's shaded in blue here. There's a lot more blue shaded here because, the cold air goes all the way down to Florida. And trust me, CFS has a warm bias usually, so. But, yeah, so cold air is going to come through. It's going to be basically everywhere except the southwest. It's going to be cold. The northwest, North Plains, Central Plains, Southern Plains, Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, Southeast. Everywhere except the southwest. And look at this. The 1st to the 8th. 8th to the 15th, on average, this is like last 48 forecasts, so combined. You see it starts to lift off a little bit, but it comes right back in. So February is probably going to be a cold month according to the CFS model. And actually, if I go to, let's see what the CFS monthly says. Yeah, so here's the latest issue for February of 2020. And look out, and just puts all the Northeast in a dark blue, medium blue, and the West, and the Southwest at least, it's going to be pretty warm. Now for March, look at this. Now they're starting to say March is going to be a similar story. So February and March could be an active time across the East, because I know, trust me, December and January, okay, it's been very disappointing. I've been tracking all the snow that I've had, and I've gotten about maybe 2 or 3 inches so far this year, and that's from like 6 different little systems that came through. It's just the way I think it occurred in the East, or at least in portions of the Mid-Atlantic, the snow fell, okay, because we had a decent amount of snow falling from the atmosphere. It just wasn't cold enough to stick. If those temperatures were a few degrees or colder, we probably would have had 6 inches on the ground total this season. Now, let's go back to the weekly for CFS weekly, because I'm stuck on the monthly. Now here's 25th to the 1st. Now here's the precipitation. Look how we stay wet all the way through the 25th to the 1st. We got the cold, but look at this. We also have the wet. And basically the whole country is going to be wet. So when you combine the cold and the wet, it's going to be a very stormy pattern. And we're already having a stormy pattern now. Okay, there's a little dry spot in Indiana, but that's probably just a little mishap. I'm sure the whole country overall will be average to above average precipitation. But look at that. It really holds. Look at this. 1st to the 8th, 8th to the 15th. Look at this. The whole country is just shaded in a green. And they do have usually a little warmer and a drier bias. So February, going to be cold, possibly, and it's going to be raining. Now, before I move on, Let me just pull up my little long-range weather forecast. And the date on this, I'd say make this through the beginning of February, basically. So now through the beginning of February, like I said, basically everywhere except the Southwest will be cold. Southwest will be warming through the month of January. I should say of January, not on January. And average to below average precipitation. Meanwhile, in the East, we're gonna be turning cold at the end of the month, and precipitation will be a little. We'll have a little bit of precipitation swings, but overall, I think it will be a little bit colder. Now here, or a little bit more precipitation. So here's the EPS model, okay? And as we head through time, look how we expand this huge area of blue, okay, which is like talk about 3, 4, 5 inches of rain above average on a 7-day precipitation anomaly, and this is going through the east. Okay, look how we just fill it up, and that's January 17th. All right, here's January 17th, same model, but this is the temperature map. So while we're warm, we're also very wet across the east. Now, oops. All right, now let's go through, say, the 23rd of January. So I think Martin Luther King weekend could be maybe a snow opportunity. So as temperatures start to come down a little bit. You can see the temperature anomalies. We still got the oranges, but they're very faint. And meanwhile, we got a really nice, refreshing shot of cold air, probably 4 to 8 degrees below average coming in. But notice by the 28th, 29th, I mean, some of the country starts to get a little bit dry, especially across the west. But parts of the southeast are still on the wet side. And with that, go to the 28th, 29th. Look at this. We start to see the cold air filling in. So if that cold air can come in while we still have a wet pattern, obviously that's what results in snow. And look at this. Watch. Now, here's the 1st of February, and it does seem to lift off a little bit, but all the long range models are gonna show like they'll show like warm and then cold and then warming back up. Because once you get past the first week of February, they can't tell. So they just warm up the whole country like they do right there. So don't trust really anything past the first day of February or the first week of February at all. But I really do think that the end of January, especially, I mean, basically the EPS is saying the whole, even the Southwest is going to stay cool, which is interesting because the CFS, the GEM, and GFS, and all the ensembles are kind of keeping it on the warm side. But even if it's cold across Southwest, I do definitely think it's going to be dry. Now, at least it's cold, keep down the fire risk. But here's the European model, right? And it says Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. I mean, this just goes out 10 days, but you can see across the east it's warm, but we got that huge shot of cold air. It's just waiting to come in. Keep in mind, these are the temperature anomalies at 5,000 feet, so where that snow can kind of start to form and come down. So, and we will have brief little shots of cold air. For example, here's one right here, 6 days out. So this is basically Thursday night. Got maybe like behind a storm system, you get a little shot of cold air coming in Thursday night. Then warms back up. You can see this probably definitely looks like a dynamic low. Let me see that image, that radar image, right there. Okay, you got that low right there. Look at all this warm air being pulled up, cold air being pulled back down. That definitely looks like a low, and you can kind of see if you look really closely where that white is, kind of like that line, kind of like where the jet stream or where the front is extending. So, but once that comes through, once that little dynamic low comes through, Saturday night, Sunday night, then we get another shot of cold air down in the east. So east will have a couple, according to the European model, we will have a couple of cold shots mid-January, but this is as far as it goes. But look at this. We're talking about, look, those very bright pinks. I mean, it's like 20 degrees below average, plus probably 25 across the parts of the Central Plains. So, and even down to the Southern Plains, all the way down to Texas. And also behind the severe line that I mentioned in my last video, temperature dropped 30-40 degrees. So it's pretty interesting. All right, so here's the GFS model now. Now this does go out 384 hours as opposed to European goes out 10. But they're usually one of those models that says warm, cold, and warm because once you go far out, it's hard to tell. But they do actually keep it cold through the whole period, because usually like ensemble models like this, at the end of their loop, like at the end of the weather loop, it always shows a warm up. But now it doesn't, so that's kind of saying something. It's kind of making a little signal. But here's the 17th through the 22nd now. The GEFS, which is like blend of 30 different kind of GFS models, they already bring in the cold air into the northern plains and into the northeast already. All right, and remind me because I did forget. If you go to the Climate Prediction Center, click over here, all right, and you go to the NAO. This is a great way to tell the polar and the polar jet and where it can go and the cold air, because if you just go and look up negative NAO oscillation, I'm not sure if I spelled that right. Yes, I did. Okay. Look at a negative NAO, and this is what happens. Let's pull that image up in a new tab. All right, and this is what happens when you got that negative NAO. Okay, now keep in mind we're in a positive right now, so I'll show you a positive as well. And I just got reminded to pull this up. So you got a high pressure building over the Gulf of Alaska, which could warm up Alaska potentially. Then you got the jet stream and the Arctic air going down to the east, where the jet stream is, bringing that cold air down, that snow. And there's also a high pressure part over Greenland with a negative NAO. And also, so we got polar air going down in the United States, and we got polar air going down into Europe. Italy, Spain, Switzerland, France, England, you name it. All those areas. And the cold air just kind of moseys on down this way and moseys on down that way, all around that high pressure that's just blocking it and forcing the cold air to split up and go down. So, I mean, and it can also get, really close to a place like Africa, potentially. However, if I can find a picture with a positive NAO, which is kind of like what we're in now. So positive NAO, and yeah, see, I was hoping to find the same map, but I don't think I can find it. Same kind of. I know they did used to have it. All right, but here it is. Again, a positive phase. Let's pull that up. So here's the positive phase. Okay, now you got a low over Greenland. So yes, it could still be wet with a positive phase. I really don't like this kind of graphic. However, it will still be very warm. Okay. Now, I know I did have that briefly, so I'm going to show you. So this is where we're at now. You just go Climate Prediction Center's website and tap over to the left like I did. You can go rewind a few seconds if you want to see that again. From the mean. So the mean basically means the average NAO that we had from the 14th of September until now. What is the average that we've had? And that was 0.0237. So it is above 0, which does technically make it a positive NAO. But as you can see, though, we're starting a little move down. We had a little crest a couple days ago, and now we're starting to make our way down a little bit. And we could go down towards the end of January, and then it always, like, the models, like the little red lines, the ensembles go down, and then they just split in different directions because they don't know what's going on after that. Okay, but what we can figure out for sure is that as we head through the 16th through the 20th of January, the NAO will start to drop a little bit. Okay, so pull that up. Where were we? Oh yeah, so the GFS model, again, look at this. Cold air coming down. 22nd to the 27th, I mean, this is going to be really brutal. I remember last year, a couple years ago, when we had temperatures dropping to -10 with that polar vortex. So hopefully that can get, the jet stream can, and the printer has to come on. Anyway, but hopefully that polar vortex can weaken, that jet stream can weaken, and for those snow lovers, and we get some cold air come on down. All right, so you can see the southeast and the east is going to be very wet as we head through 17th to the 24th until all the way till the end of the loop. Okay, and maybe some average precipitation, but a little bit of dry air, but that could easily be overcome by some rain. But a higher confidence there in the northwest for some really dry conditions, which is really interesting. Now, for the actual Climate Prediction Center's website, here is our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Again, it's the 16th through the 20th, so the east and the southeast still going to be warm, but it will also be wet with the exception of Florida and places like Colorado. But the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, hopefully you can see that, it's a very different story. More cold air. This is 18th to the 24th, and look at this, we still got the above average precipitation. And so, January outlook, I mean, waiting for that latest outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for January, February, March. The last one was made about less than a month ago. But look at this. This is the week 3-4 outlook. They do these kinds of maps too. Can I like zoom in? Maybe I should have did that a while ago. So this is the 25th, basically 3 weeks from now to 4 weeks from now. So 25th to the February 7th. And look at cold air continuing to come down across the east. Now, southeast is wet according to this, but the northeast is going to be a little bit dry. So, I mean, if you got cold air coming down, you got dry air coming with it, what's the sense? Because you're not really going to get snow out of it. So here's the GEPS, and again, showing the same kind of things, another blend of different GFS models, really cold air, and we are also going to have the tons of precipitation that could take over with some dry air later, but again, the GEPS is always like this. So I'm not really too worried about it, but hopefully some cold and wet air to come in by the end of the month. So that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching. As always, please consider subscribing and sharing this with your friends and tell them to watch the whole video. And thank you for watching. That is it. So I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time. Thank you for watching.